Hello there. Hi, my name is Bence Szelényi and welcome to the welcome to the channel. Owing to the astonishingly amazing fact that there's a chance that you behind the screen have already watched my previous video about Jung, I think it is not far-fetched to say that you are curious about the sequel of my previous video about Jung. Your unconscious tells you to watch this new video of refreshing psychology so you can grow. It's very noble of you wanting to learn more about the world, about your psyche, about your mind, but we all know how this video will turn out to be. So, in my previous video we have discussed the unconscious, the collective unconscious, Jung's view on humanity and complexes. Today we dive deeper in his art and we will learn a lot of interesting things about ourselves. Come on, let's go on an adventure and let's find out. I have no idea why I say that. Oh, that sounded like some YouTube shit, you know. Come on, how is you? Click that subscribe button. Ooh, how? Yeah. Woo! So, firstly, let's talk about the Jungian cognitive functions, the 4 cognitive functions. There are 4 main cognitive functions that determine our mental behavior, basically thinking. Sensation, intuition, feeling, and thinking. These are the 4 main cognitive behaviors that we do. But these 4 functions can be sorted into 2 dimensions. There is the first dimension, when on one end there is feeling and on its other end there is thinking. That's logical, thinking and feeling on 2 different poles of one linear dimension. If you think a lot, you can't really focus on emotions and subjective experience and vice versa. That's not entirely true, but you get the gist. And there is the second dimension, where on one end there is sensation and on its other end there is intuition. That's also logical. On one dimension, thinking and feeling, and on the other, sensation and intuition. It's simple and elegant, just like this cat. Come on, how cute she is! Come on! She's so cute I might die! So the system is the following. Everybody has all of the 4 main cognitive functions, and every single function serves our adaptation. I know you're not 4 like my IQ score or how many hours I spent on the toilet watching pictures of Chris Hemsworth, so you know what adaptation is, but just for my amusement, let's talk a little about adaptation. According to Google, adaptation is the action or process of adapting or being adapted. Thanks Google, you're helpful as always. So adaptation is basically the process of change in someone's behavior or body. In different scientific area, it means different things. In biology, it means change of biological features, so the body can live longer or can be more reproductive in a certain environment. In psychology, it means change of behavior, thinking, emotions, or actual actions, so it is more compatible with our social environment. So, for example, if you get in a new group, you automatically scan the social environment and analyze what kind of norms exist, and you want to behave according to the norms. For example, in a group where a lot of people smoke, there's a high chance that you will also smoke a couple of cigarettes, because that's adaptation. You want to adapt to the social environment, and that's how our species survived. Whew! That was a long and hard bypass, but I think it was worth taking it in. Come on guys, I've already used this in one of my previous videos. I've already used this joke in one of my previous videos, so I won't say it, I won't. So, with these 4 different, basically adaptational strategies, we adapt to our environment. We use these functions to explore and understand the world. The 4 main functions. Thinking. Someone who is using this function is very logical and rational. Feeling. People who are using this function are very emotional, they have a great connection with their emotions, and they are socially sensitive. Sensation. People who are using this function are very practical and they are great at understanding the environment. And finally, intuition. People who are using this function are spontaneous, they have great instincts, and they have a ton of inspiration. I know that you're not a toddler, or maybe you're a toddler, I don't know. I just want to say that I know that you could guess what these functions mean. Come on, duh. What could feeling mean, or what can thinking mean? But I think it's important to clarify these things. Okay, the thing is, everybody has all of the 4 functions, but there is one which is the main function for everybody. For someone it is sensation, for someone it is feeling, and of course the remaining 2. This is what determines your adaptation. Some people see the world through feeling, and that's how they can connect to it, and that's how they can adapt to it. But others get in touch with the world through thinking and by analyzing it. Others see the world through sensation, and also others through intuition. But everybody has a helper function. Jung calls it an auxiliary, I really hope I pronounce it right, auxiliary function, which is basically one of the remaining 3. So, for example, if your main cognitive function is thinking, then your auxiliary then your auxiliary function can be intuition, sensation, or feeling. Then you have a supplementary function, which is less used than the helper function. Jung calls it the tertiary function. I find hard to pronounce these things, tertiary or auxiliary. Helper and supplementary. And finally, there is the inferior function, which is usually repressed and sometimes not used at all. In therapy, this is the function that we need to access and activate more often. It can have therapeutic benefits. Jung says two really important things about cognitive functions. Firstly, there is no good or bad regarding which function can be the best to be the main function. For example, sensation is not better than the remaining three. In our Western societies, we idolize thinking, we glorify it. It is a great function, not gonna lie. This is the reason why we have phones and so advanced technologies that in the last 200 years we basically double the years a person can live. But it would be arrogant of us to think that this is the only good way of living. What about emotionality? The subjective experience of a person cannot be measured. Psychologists and scientists try to figure out how our bodies work during a personal experience. What happens in our body during a personal experience, but they can't. The subjective emotional experience cannot really be measured. Of course, to a certain level we can, but after a while we just lose control of what's what. We can't really measure the deep levels of a personal experience. In Far Eastern countries, people try to be in the moment more and focus on personal experience rather than objectivity. Jung says that both are good, thinking and feeling as well. Both are good. Actually says all four of them are good. The second important thing Jung says is that we need to get in touch all of the four functions in ourselves. This is how you can grow. You need to activate all of the four functions, but it is basically a lifelong journey. It is not easy, just like getting out of bed after you went to bed but you realize that you have to pee. If you can access all of the four thingy, I said thingy because I can't just say cognitive functions, so the fourth thingy, so if you can access all the four thingy, then you basically become who you meant to be. This is what Jung calls Selbstactualisation. Jung was Swiss, so it is German for self. It is basically self. Selbst is basically self. So if you want to improve yourself, Selbst, then you need to access all of the four cognitive functions that allow you to understand your inner and unconscious real self. Of course, you also need to face normative complexes, and it will be a spiral process and a bunch of stuff that you don't really need to worry about because I'm gonna talk about it in the next video. By the way, I really recommend watching my previous videos about Jung because we have discussed a bunch of interesting things about his art and about his work, so check it out. I think it's really interesting. Check it out. Also, halfway through writing the script of this video, I realized that there's so many interesting things about Jung regarding Jung and his thoughts and his models and everything that I really need to make another video. So it will be a trilogy! Woo! The last thing I wanted to talk about in this video is persona. What is a persona? The persona is basically a mask. The persona is the social face the individual presents to the world, a kind of mask designed on the one hand to make a definite impression upon others and on the other to conceal the true nature of the individual. It means that everybody has at least a few personas. You show something of yourself to the world, but it is not entirely you. How many of you had at least one experience when you acted nothing like you would in a social situation? For example, at a party, you want to show yourself to the world, you want to show yourself to the other person, but from a great distance, so you wouldn't be heartbroken if that person or people didn't accept that part of you. It is a safe mask. It is basically an adaptational mechanism, so you wouldn't be hurt. And Jung says it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to be yourself all of the time. You're allowed to wear these masks because that's how we function in a society. You have a working mask, you have a family mask, you have a friend mask. I mean, if you're really close with one friend, then you don't really need that mask. But, you know, you also, I don't know, have a dating mask and so on. These are your personas. If you're flexible and can change your personas in different environments, then it's okay. But if you are too rigid and can't change your personas in different situations, then it's a problem. I asked Lily out and she said no. I'm so sad right now. And how did that make you feel? I just said it. Sad. Why can't you be normal like other dads? Why is it important to have a normal dad? I think you have an unresolved problem with your father. Yeah, that he doesn't listen to me? Interesting. Tell me about your childhood. How was your mother? She is great. I hate my father though. Oh shit. Oh, sorry man, sorry. Sorry. How was your day? How was your date? It went well. Hell yeah! That's my boy! Woo-hoo-hoo! That's my boy! I'm so proud of you right now. Have you told your mother yet? Oh Jesus, she's waiting for me in couples therapy right now. So in conclusion, your personas are useful, but in order for them to be useful and not harmful, you should integrate your desires, the expectations of the environment, and your physical and psychic resources into your personas. Well, that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. Jung has so many interesting and still valid theories and thoughts that I decided to make another video about Jung. I recommend checking out of my previous videos about him because it's awesome, I think. If you subscribe, I will send you a virtual hug that you can use anytime you feel a little low. Without any joke, it really means a lot to me if you subscribe. Thank you, and thank you for your subscriptions. Thank you. And in the comments, you can tell me about 2 things. 1, what is your main cognitive function? And 2, tell me a knock-knock joke. Please tell me a knock-knock joke. I'm really counting on you. Love yourself and bye. So in conclusion, no.
Mic test 1 2 3 woof woof.
Okay, so